beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
And welcome to your Tobago Updates Morning Show for today, Tuesday, 19th May 2026. I'm Alex Brown and I'll be your lone host this morning. Renessa is unable to join us. Trusting that we'll be getting together the day off to a great start as we look forward to the conversations that are in our lineup. We say a very special good morning and welcome to you, whether you've joined us on Facebook, YouTube, Flow, AMPLIA, or any other platform, and we trust that together we're going to really have a good time on this morning show. We roll right on to the news in 90 seconds. In your news, complete silence follows the expiration of the Tobago House of Assembly's May 1st deadline to seize control of the tongue and country planning powers from Trinidad for Tobago. The overhaul aimed at cutting land development approval times to 2 weeks via a one-stop shop has stalled. Despite claims that the Assembly would take things into its own hands, both Secretary Trevor James and the Chief Secretary have offered no response regarding the THA's next move after the central government failed to facilitate the legal handoff. The investigation into the disappearance of 2-year-old Angelo Tobias enters day 8 as fresh personnel from the Hunter Search and Rescue Team arrived in Tobago. Deploying new personnel across the island, the group proclaimed, quote, "Soon the truth shall prevail," unquote. This deployment follows the mobilization of special legal and child protection units from Trinidad as the police continue to search and interview the boy's mother, stepfather, and unidentified others. Finally, 5 Tobago students have achieved top honors at the University of Trinidad and Tobago's Eastern Caribbean Institute of Agriculture and Forestry Awards. Tony Applewhite swept both highest academic standing and the Boli's Prize for farm engineering. Joining her in the winner's circle were Chinere Nimblet for outstanding livestock student, Faith Phillips for outstanding crop student, and Janil Tobias, who captured the prize for most improved students. That was your news in 90 seconds. Join us at 6:30 p.m. for a full newscast. Interesting times. It's good news to hear of our students performing well. It's testament to the fact that, as others before this group has done, you can leave our shores and excel in academics. I'm pretty happy that this excelling comes in agriculture because there's hope, and I'm trusting that they will find a way to return to Tobago and contribute to the revitalization and improvement of agriculture on the island. We say congratulations to all 5 of you from all of us here at Tobago Updates. We continue celebrating as we head right away into our birthday celebrations, and let's see who's been celebrating birthdays today. We begin with Tyrone Cruikshank, a pretty calm and suave looking Tyrone. We trust that you're going to have a really great birthday today. We pray that your blessings will continue to flow from the hand of the Almighty, and that you'll use today to reflect on how things have been, how good God has been, and to chart a way forward that will certainly be the one that you'll appreciate. Happy birthday to you. We continue with Joy Moses. Happy birthday to you. There's a peaceful smile on your face, and we're trusting that today begins a year of peace and prosperity for you. Happy birthday to you with all of God's blessings. And finally, this is a very, very interesting one. On Saturday, May 16th, the Bell Garden Village Council and the entire community of Bell Garden proudly joined together in celebrating a truly remarkable milestone, the 100th birthday of Miss Nita McLeod. Miss McLeod is a shining example of strength, love, wisdom, and resilience as the oldest living female in our community. She has touched countless lives and remains a source of pride and inspiration to us all. Her legacy is beautifully reflected in her family: 11 children, 30 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren, a testament to a life richly blessed and deeply rooted in family and community values. On this special occasion, we extend heartfelt congratulations, love, and best wishes to Miss McLeod. Hope your day was filled with joy, laughter, and with a warm embrace of family, friends, and community. Happy 100th birthday, Miss Nita McLeod. Your life and legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. From the Bell Garden Village Council and the village of Bell Garden, certainly from us here as well at Tobago Updates, we wish you happy 100 and trust that as God continues to add years to your life, He adds life to your years. And for any one of you who didn't make it onto our list this morning, but you're celebrating today, we wish you a very happy birthday. God's blessings and favor upon you. Remember, if you're celebrating a birthday or someone you love is celebrating a birthday, to share with us that information via any of the information you can see on your screen. And we're certainly happy to join them to the birthday shout out here on Tobago Updates Morning Show. What's coming up this morning? Well, we're talking Special Olympics, the Tobago Games. You won't want to miss that information. Following that, we continue to talk about the fact that we still are yet to find baby Angelo, and we'll be talking about some of the stuff that surrounds that. And we close this morning's discussions with upcoming Indian Arrival Day celebrations. Stay with us for these discussions during the break. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We will be right back.
Looking for office attire or worship apparel, then come to Tia's Classic Closet. Shopping for casual clothing or just want to dress down. Big discount, so it's you on clothing and comfortable shoes. Get some wonderful accessories to match your attire. Come to Tia's Classic Closet at 39 Montgomery Road. Opening hours daily from 9:30 to 5:30. For more information, call 710-168-99999.
Sofa Factory is here in Tobago. Conveniently located Montessori Drive, Glen Road, Scarborough. Up to 20% off on select sofas for customization. Deals on some sofas from as low as $4,000 until stocks last. 10% off on all wardrobes. Half off on shower heads with the purchase of a vanity set. Come in and experience the new way to shop for furniture and see the quality in person.
Make your goals a reality this season with Mount Pleasant Credit Union. Tobago's choice, we got you smiling. Come and feel that mid-year feeling, oh yeah. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans, your goals grow. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice. You know, every loan wants to prove more reasons to celebrate. Chance to win big, doesn't that feel great? Up to $3,500 in exciting gift certificates. Share investment starts as low as $2,500. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans, let your goals grow. Whoa. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice, you know.
early prostate cancer has absolutely no signs or symptoms. And that's why we strongly push the men once a year, get out there and get screened with a digital rectal examination and a PSA, prostate-specific antigen, a blood test. Any PSA above 4 is abnormal. All men, once they hit 40 years of age, go and have that PSA test done.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Okay. 335, 336, 337, 338, 339.
Counting on your fingers again. No wonder you lose your business.
Grandpa, thanks for helping me start over.
You not lucky in business, you know. As a child, you tried to sell hog plum. That failed. As a teenager, you and your boyfriend tried to break into the jewelry business. But hey, where that boy end up?
He live in Aruka in the Grove. The golden one.
Oh, child, if you want to get into business, you have to have your financial records intact. But hey, do you know your numbers?
Of course, 624 333.
No, child, your numbers, your ratios, your equity ratios. You have a financial handicap.
What?
You need to see somebody about that. Anderson.
Who?
Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago, they offer tax and accounting services. They know about financial management.
Grandpa, I started this business with nothing.
And nothing is what you will end up with unless you call Anderson Services. Here.
Okay, this card is nice.
Yeah.
What's this?
Your rental fee. Have business will pay rent. Hot and groovy in the soca party.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and the service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships, it's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back. As promised, we start here our discussions this morning with the Special Olympics Tobago Games. To talk with us this morning is Mr. Ferdinand Bibi, National Director of the Trinidad and Tobago Special Olympics. He joins us virtually. Mr. Bibi, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, sir, and I'm pleased to be here with you.
Thank you for joining us. Let's start with the general understanding, as it were, that the Special Olympics are designed and set up for participation and involvement by people who have challenges that the rest of us do not. But I want to ask, how has it been? I know there has been a push from several quarters who deal with various challenges, as it were, people who are visually impaired, people who are hearing and speech impaired, and so on. So there's been the push from the various quarters for inclusion in the society, for as normal a life as possible for people with challenges. From your perspective, how has that been accepted in the country?
All right. First, I would just want to clarify by outlining the eligibility of persons that we at Special Olympics cater for. So Special Olympics caters for persons with intellectual disabilities, right? First, the individual may also have a physical disability, such as hearing impairment or blindness or mobility issues. But the primary eligibility criteria is having an intellectual disability. An intellectual disability is identified as someone who scores less than 70 in a standardized IQ test. So they have a cognitive delay, but there's also functional limitations with everyday social and coping skills. So they may have challenges with the way they communicate with persons, the way how they process information. So those two combination, functional limitation with coping skills as well as the cognitive delay, is what causes someone to be identified as having an intellectual disability. As it relates to challenges, though, we at Special Olympics believe that disability is really a social construct. So it is because of the barriers that we in society place on persons with disabilities that causes these challenges that you mentioned, or prevents them from functioning to the best of their ability. So if those barriers are removed, then persons with any disability would be able to function to the best of their ability.
All right. How has this idea of Special Olympics generally, probably we could start with a background in general physical involvement and stuff like that. How has it been embraced by the community of those with the various challenges? Have we seen probably over the years an increase in the number of people who want to be involved, or is there still some sort of shying away from the public involvement? How has that been over the years?
Right. So we have Special Olympics was founded internationally in 1968. In 1982, it was founded here in Trinidad. And since then, we have been providing annually year-round training and competition for persons with intellectual disabilities. We currently offer activities in 13 sporting disciplines to close to 30 special schools throughout Trinidad and Tobago, and we reach as much as 1,200 persons participating in our activities on an annual basis. So in Tobago, for example, we have the Happy Haven Special School, we have the School for the Deaf, Speech and Language Impaired, we also have the Technical Vocational Center for Persons with Disabilities in Tobago. And we have a new addition, the Transformation Foundation, that are affiliated with us. We also have individual artists, so artists who may have passed through the school system and may have graduated but still want to compete. They are provided for under the term unattached or independent athletes, so they can also participate. And I can tell you that next week is a big week for the athletes with intellectual disabilities, because they look forward to their annual participation. We have our oldest athlete in Tobago is Rollins Alexander, and he's ready. He's always there, full of joy, and you see it in the faces of the athletes when they get the opportunity, because for many of them, this is the first time that they are given the opportunity to do something on their own, to do something to prove their worth, their ability, for them to really have their own self-confidence that they could perform. Because many, or society and many of us, either stigmatize them and say, because you have this disability, you shouldn't be out in the public, you shouldn't be doing these acts. Sometimes the parents, due to overprotection, trying to combat the stigmatization, or just being afraid of them doing the physical acts, would also keep them away from the sport. But once the athlete gets that opportunity and the coaches provide them with the confidence of repetition of the act, you see the joy in their faces, and they are always willing to compete. So if you come down next week on Monday and on Thursday, you will see for yourself what Special Olympic means to these athletes.
You mentioned two things that I just want to reiterate. One is the fact that there's an increasing number of involvement from the Tobago side of things, and I'm very happy to hear that. And probably more importantly, the confidence in their own persons that this opportunity encourages and offers to or young people with these challenges. I think one of the things that we miss sometimes is that while they may have challenges, they are still human, and so we need to treat them with the dignity that is necessary for the way we treat with humans. Let's get in directly into the Tobago games. You mentioned Monday and Thursday. Give us some details as to when, where, how, and all of that.
All right. Well, on Monday, Tobago will be leading the way in that we will be staging our first golf games, Special Olympic golf games, and it's being staged here in Tobago because of the fact that Tobago schools had taken up the challenge and moved into the sport of golf. So we have the community organization Let's Learn Golf, who has been pioneering work with the schools in Tobago, providing them with training. And we also have the Trinidad and Tobago Golf Association, who, as the national governing body for golf, would have sought to put some structure by providing their coaches who fall under them with the training of how to coach Special Olympic athletes or how to coach persons with disabilities so that they can play golf.
I want to just interrupt you there for a second, because
yes.
Admittedly, I don't understand the golf very well, but it seems to me a game that is highly technical. And it's interesting that we're starting off with golf and golf for people with challenges, whatever those challenges are. Tell us what influenced golf as a choice for people with challenges?
No, well, golf is one of the sports offered by Special Olympics. So Special Olympics International offers as much as 30 sports, both summer as well as winter sports, to athletes with intellectual disabilities. So it's just that the opportunity arose where you had a provider working with the schools. So we decided to capitalize on that and offer the sport. Now, you mentioned it being technical. Yes, it might be technical, but the repetition, the guiding philosophy of Special Olympics is that if athletes are offered training on a regular basis, they will be able to perform just like any other athlete. So the athletes have been training on a year-round basis to practice, so they are competent in playing the game. What we also do is offer a modified version of the game. So there will be the athletes who could play on the golf course, but there would be some of the athletes who are interested in golf, love the sport of golf, but cannot yet play on the golf course. So what we do is offer a modified version called individual skills competition. And that individual skills competition takes out 3 of the components of golf: driving the ball, putting the ball, and chipping the ball, and make a competition for those persons at the lower ability level. At the higher ability level, while the athletes are not ready as yet to play 18-hole, we will be offering 3-hole and 6-hole as an option for the athlete. So it's not that, hey, this is that highly technical sport, so you're not ready as yet. No, we try to bridge the gap by modifying the event to facilitate the participation of the athlete, and gradually, with that continuous training, one day we will be having persons playing 18-hole.
All right, tell us more. What follows the golf competition?
Right, so the golf is on Monday at the Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort, and then on Thursday, the 28th, at the Shore Park, we will be staging the bigger version of the games, where we will be offering athletics, football, and bocce competition to close to 100 athletes.
Bocce may not be the most familiar to some of our viewers. Yes. Tell us exactly what bocce is and how it's played.
Mm-hmm. Right, well, so bocce is a sport that we at Special Olympics, it's one of the 2 sports that we alone play as an organization. So bocce is really a form of lawn bowling, where you roll out a target ball, and each team or each opponent has 4 balls, and the goal is to get your 4 balls as close to the target ball as possible. It's played on a court 60 feet long by 12 feet wide, and you can play it anywhere, either on grass or on the sand, on carpet, on artificial turf. But it's a very interesting game, and it's very competitive when the athletes gets into it.
We certainly look forward to these things. So just as we close, just remind us dates, times, and locations of the Tobago Games for the Trinidad and Tobago Special Olympics Committee.
Right. So on Monday, the 25th, we will be at the Magdalena Grand to stage our first golf games. It starts at 9 and should go until 1 p.m. And on Thursday, we have our bigger Tobago games at the Shore Park Recreation Ground, which starts from 9 and goes till 4:30. And I would just want to thank the person, because we at Special Olympics believe in what we call the shared responsibility model, because we alone cannot provide for the athletes. So we depend on the government agencies, we depend on corporate sponsors, we depend on the national sporting organizations, community organizations to assist. So the Ministry of Sport, the Division of Youth Empowerment and Sport, the Division of Community Development, Social Protection, Digicel Foundation, Massey Foundation, Blue Waters Products, the Let's Learn Golf Tobago organization, the Trinidad and Tobago Golf Association, but we even had the in-kind association with Magdalena, who is providing their facility, as well as EID Cut, who is also providing their facility at Shore Park for us to ensure that these games come off. And without those cooperation, and of course the schools and the athletes, there would be no Special Olympic Games. So special mention to them, and what we ask is for you to come out and have a great day, see what it is like, see the athletes, see the smiles, because I can tell you, but showing it to your viewers by giving a recap of the games would really sell the idea of how important Special Olympic is to persons with intellectual disabilities.
We thank you, Bam. Before we go, please, what, if any, are the costs associated with the public attending the games?
Well, there is no cost to the public to attend the games, and probably people don't like freeness, so that is what is inhibiting them from coming. But there's no cost attached, so you could drop in either during your lunch break. Those of us who are home and are not working, come down to the areas and support the artist, because the artist needs the support. The athletes need the support, and all they have might be their coaches or their teachers from the schools and the volunteers to give that support. But as a sportsman, you would know, when you look in the crowd and you see these faces, you hear the applause for your work, it urges you on. And as I said, if Rollins Alexander could still be competing at close to 50 or in his 50s, then you know it is beneficial.
Mr. Bibi, thank you so much for joining us and sharing. We want to encourage all of viewers, as far as it's possible, go out and support the Special Olympics Committee in the Tobago Games. Not often you get to attend the Olympics for free. Please come out and support. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Bibi.
Yes, and thank you for having us.
Most welcome. Well, viewers, we go to a short break now. When we come back, we talk with the Trinidad and Tobago Hunter Search and Rescue Team. Stay with us, and remember during the break to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Looking for office attire or worship apparel, then come to Tia's Classic Closet. Shopping for casual clothing or just want to dress down. Big discount, so it's you on clothing and comfortable shoes. Get some wonderful accessories to match your attire. Come to Tia's Classic Closet at 39 Montgomery Road. Opening hours daily from 9:30 to 5:30. For more information, call 710-168-9999.
Early prostate cancer has absolutely no signs or symptoms, and that's why we strongly push the men once a year, get out there and get screened with a digital rectal examination and a PSA, prostate-specific antigen, a blood test. Any PSA above 4 is abnormal. All men, once they hit 40 years of age, go and have that PSA test done.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Sofa Factory is here in Tobago. Conveniently located Montessori Drive, Glen Road, Scarborough. Up to 20% off on select sofas for customization. Deals on some sofas from as low as $4,000 until stocks last. 10% off on all wardrobes. Half off on shower heads with the purchase of a vanity set. Come in and experience the new way to shop for furniture and see the quality in person.
Sun Up Tobago presents Solara. Celebrating the 9th edition of your favorite party in the East, where style and good vibes meet. Get ready for the food-inclusive cool experience you love. This July 4th, we return to the East, bringing you the perfect blend of mouth-watering food flavors, premium vibes, and unforgettable energy.
One thing more than them feel understood. When girl, good girl.
Grab your cooler, hold your crew, and escape to Tobago's ultimate vibe. Join us at 4 p.m. at the Delta Compound in Argyle. Get your tickets now at Waterhole Bar and Pablo Supermarket Argyle, Barcode, Scarborough, Eco Sports, Stubby Park, Nijon's Bar on the Esplanade, and Jane Monkey, Crown Point, or online at idetickets.com. Sun Up Tobago, Solara, 9 years strong. Your favorite party in the East is calling. Saturday, 4th of July, Delta Compound, Argyle.
Make your goals a reality this season with Mount Pleasant Credit Union. Tobago's choice, we got you smiling. Come and feel that mid-year feeling, oh yeah. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans, your goals grow. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice. You know, every loan wants approved, more reasons to celebrate. Chance to win big, doesn't that feel great? Up to $3,500 in exciting gift certificates. Share investment starts as low as $2,500. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans, let your goals grow. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice, you know.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
I find you taking long to play the card. Come on, I'm all in time, so good, but yo, what school you went by?
Diane Bishops, boy.
Bishops?
Yeah,
sure,
one of the baddest has come out of Bishops, sir.
The baddest?
Bad telling away.
What is the baddest? My one night and night, and I is the baddest.
My Bishops is the best, boy.
Yo, what's going on with Tola? Here, what's going on? It's only one way to settle this.
We'll be live on Youth Voice TV, where I, your host, Multibass, will be hosting the Rep Your School DJ competition, where DJs will go head-to-head in a crazy battle to secure the title. We have cash prizes of $10,000 to come out and win, and a lot of amazing prizes. Guys, what are you waiting for? Let me come out, come and showcase your skills. Come, let me do some jobs.
So guys, there are two categories for DJs that are out of school up to 35 years. And for the DJs that are currently in school, it must be up to 19 years of age. So guys, get ready. It's all about Rep Your School. It's all about the DJ competition.
Who will bring the best vibes? Who can control the crowd? And who will earn the bragging rights? You get a chance to be a part and witness the rise of the new DJ generation. So this is Youth Voice, Rep Your School DJ, live on Tobago Updates. Stay tuned.
Youth Voice, Rep Your School DJ competition. Rep Your School.
Okay. 335, 336, 337, 338, 339,
Counting on your fingers again. No wonder you lose your business.
Grandpa, thanks for helping me start over.
You not lucky in business, you know. As a child, you tried to sell hog plum. That failed. As a teenager, you and your boyfriend tried to break into the jewelry business. But hey, where that boy end up?
He live in Aruka in the Grove. The golden one.
Oh, child, if you want to get into business, you have to have your financial records intact. But do you know your numbers?
Of course, 624. 3.
No, child, your numbers, your ratios, your equity ratios. You have a financial handicap.
What?
You need to see somebody about that. Anderson.
Who?
Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago, they offer tax and accounting services. They know about financial management.
Grandpa, I started this business with nothing.
And nothing is what you will end up with unless you call Anderson Services. Here.
Okay, this card is nice.
Yeah.
What's this?
Your rental fee. Have business will pay rent. Hot and groovy in the soca party.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back. And as Tobago continues to grapple with the disappearance of baby Tobias, we're joined on the telephone by Mr. Shamsuddin Ayub, who is the commander of the Trinidad and Tobago Hunters Search and Rescue. We joined on the phone. Good morning, Mr. Ayub, and welcome.
Good morning.
We saw in the news that you're sending a fresh team to join the effort in Tobago, and certainly we're interested in a statement that's been attributed to your group, the statement that soon the truth shall prevail. What would have precipitated your feeling the need as a grouping to make that particular statement?
Well, basically, the information that, that we receive that are working with, we hope we pray for the best so that family can get closure. So that is what we have to be praying that family get closure. So those are very tough men. But there are certain things that we can't divulge to the public. If the public wants to know what's going on, but it's to be careful in how we say certain things because it can compromise the investigation. As Jay was reading on the newspaper or one of the media outlets, that police went to arrest persons and one escaped, to run away from them. Due to that, certain things, we are trying our best to keep it, but we don't want to compromise investigation.
And certainly we can understand that. I'm not sure that this is a good news type of reporting, but in terms of what has been happening so far, what can you share with us? How has the search been going? What can you tell us that would not necessarily place yourself, your group, or the investigation in general in a position of compromise?
Well, it's a lot of search and information it went down, right? We come a lot of areas, we go in the earlier stages, we try to gather information that can help us because when the child was reported missing by the stepfather and mother, that was on Monday evening. And at that stage, someone saw something in the ocean, and they believe it could be the child, which we can confirm by now that it's not the child. And then after that, we realize the investigation has to move from one stage to the other, which we start to work immediately on. So we were coming, like, for example, shoreline, part of the ocean, places like forested areas, and then by coping those places and information, while we're doing those searches, what we do, we also do investigation to follow up what else can happen and how information comes and we work with it. And by work with information comes and what we pick up, what we know, we got it and put it together. And by doing those kinds of information and we put it into intelligence, and make evidence out of it, we can safely say on our end that the investigation moves to a different level, which we are presently in the dump area for the past 2 days. So there are so many things that I said went on. So we try to narrow it down to put it down to those areas which we went and we conduct searches in that particular area. But so far we come up empty-handed.
We're looking now at some footage of searches taking place in the landfill. We're understanding, and this is not confirmed, but has any information come officially to you, if you can share, that maybe the search is going to shift to other areas adjoining the landfill? And how do you manage situations like this where information comes? How do you probably determine the credibility, or is it a situation where you almost have to try to follow every bit of information that comes in the hope that some bit of it turns up what the end goal is?
But on our end, what we do with information, now from day to day, from time to time, we will receive a lot of information. Before this morning, we received maybe 15 information coming in. So we know what we are working with. Because, for example, we got to go through the stages quickly, some of the stages. We will interview family in and around the area, villagers, families, neighbors, those kinds of things we will do. So by gather from information from families, gather information from neighbors, and then villagers, we will have an idea what exactly happened. So when the information comes to us, we will sift it out quickly. We will know which one is leading to what we have knowledge over already. And we will work with that one. So we move from one stage to the next. We move from information and put it into intelligence. So we will use those sets of information coming. It's something where there are more than 1, 5, 6 again, and putting into that aspect. We will follow that lead, and before we continue with that lead, we will work to make sure we are trying to get the evidence. So to reach for evidence, how we make sure every piece of information we have lead to that direction, that which we are heading to, the area that we are heading to. And how we conduct that now is that we try to verify what happened. The first thing, in this case, we verify what happened, how it happened. Okay? So that was established, the time when it happened, because the report made pertinent to this child, the report was made on Monday evening. All right? The report didn't make it Monday evening. The alarm raised on Monday evening. Then following the report was made to the police. So when the alarm was raised on Monday, we established that is it the child missing at the set time when the alarm was raised. So on our end, our information we gathered at that stage is we does not believe that. Right? So we believe the child missing before. So to establish that, that's how we try to establish. So that when we run footage now, video footage, we not bypass days that have time, because time is important. And we could have looked for footage on Monday when there is things happen before Monday or early in Monday. All right? So that's how we will try to establish that. So we not bypass those crucial information. Then eyewitness can confirm that they saw certain things. Now we say we was working on Monday or Tuesday, and we assume it happened on Sunday. So that's how we try to establish the time. So that's how we move from one stage to the next. Then we move from that stages of information that we gather down the line. Then we establish now from what happened on Monday, Sunday, Monday, those kinds of information that leads now to certain area. And from those, we keep following it again with evidence. All right? It's not we take here, the sheet there again. Evidence to verify that what we have been receiving is accurate. And by evidence, video footage is one of it. and they are also persons of sighting. You know, all these kinds of information will use persons of sighting interview persons to verify that what we know already, to verify if it is true or false. So that's how our investigation does go on behalf of the Hunter Search and Rescue team led by Commander Shamsuddin Ayub. So it was a tense investigation. And by doing that, we realize that, listen, this is what happened, this is what we come to a conclusion, and this is how we are working with. So if other information comes in for me to divert from certain area that we already believe, it has to be really credible and proven to us to move again. And then we will check, but we will not divert from the actual area that we believe something happened.
Okay, Commander, are you this matter of investigation and certainly actual physical searching is pretty labor intensive. How is this sustained? Who bears the costs? And we know that you do not have a formal group in Tobago. Plans afoot to set something up in Tobago?
Yeah, we have our group. We have a group in Tobago, but it was not big. It was just 2 members. We didn't have before. Active members, and then 1 or 2 who used to call and, what people want to join. So we bring teams from Trinidad, members from Trinidad, and also new members who come in who interested how we see the art, but we're not going to share certain information to those individuals because we don't know if they will leak it out. Okay? So until we see the confidentiality in that. So, but the group now, it was active because we was on day 1 when it happened. We have a fire officer who is a member of our team all the time. And he leads the Tobago team. His name is Clint, and he retired. So, a couple of days ago, he retired from the fire department. So he had knowledge, of experience, a lot of people in the island. So that's how it's a team that was already established, but not used like in Trinidad. All right, but we take in other members to come in, and we take them and serve them out. How they operate, other persons to make them members. But we will get there hopefully by the end of the process. Then it's costly. The cost of it is very expensive. So run an operation like this is very, very, very costly. If we could go back on any organization, check any organization to do a basic seminar or a basic visit to an area where persons go, it's expensive. On top of that, it's the investigation on the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service are running a 10th investigation on this. Whereas we, as the Hunter Search and Rescue team, led by Commander Shamsuddin Ayub, are running a 10th investigation too. And if we're going to listen from time to time, they will hear the police will say they put out a lot of resources, not to run it. What about us? What about us? Do you imagine how much they put out? So how much it will cost us? And cost us now, who fund these bills? Well, only God knows. It's funded by members, and 90% of the funds come from myself. So it's very costly. It's very expensive. It's not something easy. It's an organization to stand to this magnitude. Very, very expensive.
Unfortunately, Commander Ayub, we have to leave it here, but we certainly want to say thank you for the support. Thank you on behalf of all of Tobago, all of Trinidad and Tobago, not only for your efforts in this particular incident, but for all you've been doing throughout the country for the tenure of your organization. Certainly, probably in less intense times, we can talk some more about the organization and how we can probably approach finding some financial support. Thank you again for joining us, and again, thank you for all you've been doing for us.
You're welcome.
Viewers, we take a short break. When we come back, we talk Indian Arrival Day celebrations in Tobago. Stay with us, and during the break, remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
Make your goals a reality this season with Mount Pleasant Credit Union. Tobago's choice, we got you smiling. Come and feel that mid-year feeling, oh yeah. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans, your goals grow. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice. You know, every loan wants to prove more reasons to celebrate. Chance to win big, doesn't that feel great? Up to $3,500 in exciting gift certificates. Share investment starts as low as $2,500. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans. Let your goals grow. Whoa. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice, you know.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back, and as we promised before the break, we're talking Indian arrival celebrations here in Tobago that are soon upcoming. We're talking with the Tobago Hindu Society. With us this morning is President Poluwati Bipath and PRO Govinda Ramlogan. Good morning to you both and welcome.
Good morning, Sitaram.
Sitaram, and a pleasant good morning to everyone.
Thank you for joining us. We're discussing Indian Arrival Day in Trinidad and Tobago. We're looking at the celebrations in Tobago. You represent the Hindu Society. How long has the Hindu Society been operating in Tobago?
The Hindu Society has been operating about 30 years now in Tobago.
Approximately 30 years. And why would the Hindu Society be the group that leads Indian Arrival Day celebration? Certainly all Indo descendants are not Hindu.
Yes, because now we have a lot of Hindus working here and living on the island. And we find it fit that we should propagate the religion and try to encourage everybody to know, the Tobagonians to know what the Hindu religion is about, what the East Indian culture is about. So we upkeep the Hindu traditions here.
Are there, and probably Mr. Ramlogan, you might be able to tell us, are there other formally organized groups in Tobago that represent any part of the Indo community?
Well, there's a Sai Center in by Surfside. They have satsang every Saturday also. But apart from this program that we are hosting, we also visit many schools and interact with the younger generations and even the older generations. We showcase our culture, our diversity, even the food. The food is very enjoyable.
Something that I'm sure you can get a lot of support for.
Yes, so the tradition keeps going, and we also have young members such as my niece Mia Bipat. She take part in a lot of competitions in Trinidad, showcasing Tobago, representing Tobago. Sita Bipat, she went to India on a scholarship to learn dance. So a lot of the young generation from Tobago is doing a lot.
That's quite interesting because particularly in Tobago, you see now a trend that shifts young people away from religion and religious organizations. Is this something that you're experiencing as well?
Well, the background that my family came from, which my auntie here also, is deep-rooted in the culture and the heritage. Bojam Holas, my other auntie in Trinidad, Rukmini Holas, Bipat, and even my rest of cousins and brothers, and everyone is very much involved in the tradition and culture. And I know this is a way to take the younger generation away from the negativity and is a positive.
You speak as well of a strong family connection in religious matters, and this is something that used to be in Tobago, and we're seeing some of that falling away. Tell us quickly about directly what happens from the perspective of the Hindu society for the upcoming Indian Arrival Day celebrations.
Okay, so we'll be having performers from Tobago such as Sita Bipat Kombi. She will be doing dance. Also Mia Bipat, she will be singing. Myself, Govinda Ramlogan, also known as Tobago Chana, will also be singing. The MC Bimal Ramlogan. He is very knowledgeable about the history of the culture. Also, there's a performance from Trinidad which the president will talk about.
Please tell us.
Yeah, the Devi, the Lotus.
Yeah, they will be doing a Devi play.
A play.
And also the Pandit Ramdat Mahesh is our spiritual leader. He have been there from the beginning with the temple, and the president will speak more about that.
Yeah, we will be honoring him on that day on our because of him today we have started building our temple. It is almost completed. So we choose to honor him for all his dedication, all his services that he has been provided.
Now that you've said it here on the Tobago Updates morning show, it's certainly not going to be a surprise honor. So somebody's going to tell me if he had not known before. When and where are these activities carded?
So it will be taking place on the 23rd of this month at Lowlands Mall from 3 p.m. We encourage the public to come out, have fun, learn about the culture. I know Indian Arrival 1845 to 30th of May, 225 persons from India would have come down to Trinidad, but before they came down on the Fatal Rozak, they would have stopped at a different island, I believe it was Nelson Island, because that lengthy journey, some of them would have fallen ill and stuff, so they would have had to recover there. We travel from Trinidad to Tobago on the boat, and that's such a short time space, and plenty of us cannot manage that, so you can imagine the amount of torture they would have experienced traveling, and here we are today achieving so much great things.
Certainly we appreciate that, and we want to encourage viewers to go. Sometimes we make a big ado just about the food, but the Indo culture is more than its food, and certainly it would be important to appreciate the history even of the food itself. We want to thank you for coming in and sharing with us, and we certainly wish you success as you celebrate, continued success for your religion as a group and for your community, the Indo community here in Tobago and in the wider Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for coming and for sharing with us.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's been our pleasure. Well, viewers, there we have it. We've come to the end of this morning's show. We want to thank you for staying with us, and we trust that as you continue through the day, Tobago Updates will be your constant companion. Coming up next is GMT. Remember to stay with us and share the live, share the live, share the live. Do have a great day.
what we did is post-harvest handling and safety in fresh produce. The reason for this is because at times, farmers do all the good agricultural practices in the field, and then when they reach or harvest the produce, there you see spoilage. So what we did, we geared our workshop to allow farmers to know the post-harvesting practices which will prevent spoilage or damage to their goods.
We dealt with storage, type of storage you need, temperature management, how to control incompatibility with the commodities that could spoil one another, how to avoid taking to the market stuff that is not good, and remind them of their harvesting practices, what they should do, the time of the day they should harvest, the containers they must use. The session was really about letting farmers know that they themselves are responsible for the safety and for the quality of the produce that they would put on the offer for sale, whether for retail or whether they are selling it themselves.
Farmers, of course, they were the main focus, students, and then we have persons who are potential farmers. So sometimes going into something, you want them to have a jump start, to have the best way in.
I learned a lot of things that I really didn't know about tomatoes, having vibration injuries, and how to properly harvest tomatoes and other crops, and how to see different defective crops and etc. So it was very informative. I enjoyed it a lot.
I learned a couple new things all right, especially in handling the produce and especially storage also, right, because most of my losses is like when I leave the garden, I get less than I actually produce in the garden. So the handling of the produce actually will help me.
Being very mindful what you're putting into the production stage, and be mindful how you harvest, you transport it, how you store it, how you keep it cool, and what you put it next to when you're transporting it.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix. Ladies and gentlemen, you know whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. But before we get into this morning's interesting topics and conversations, let's have our news in 90 seconds. Silence follows the expiration of the Tobago House of Assembly's May 1st deadline to seize control of town and country planning powers from Trinidad to Tobago. Overhaul aimed at cutting land development approval times to 2 weeks via a one-stop shop has stalled. Despite claims that the Assembly would take things into its own hands, both Secretary Trevor James and the Chief Secretary have offered no response regarding the THA's next move after the central government's failure to facilitate the legal handoff. Additionally, the investigation into the disappearance of 2-year-old Angelo Tobias enters day 8 as fresh personnel from the Hunter and Search Rescue Team arrives in Tobago, deploying new personnel across the island. The group proclaimed, "Soon the truth shall be revealed." The deployment follows the mobilization of specialized legal and child protection units from Trinidad as the police continues to search and interview the boy's mother and stepfather and one unidentified person. And finally, 5 Tobago students have achieved top honors at the University of Trinidad and Tobago's Eastern Caribbean Institute of Agriculture and Forestry Awards. Tony Applewhite swept both the highest academic standing and Bolia Prize for Farm Engineering. Joining her in the winners' circle were Miss Nimblett for Outstanding Livestock Student, Faith Phillips, and Outstanding Crop Student, and Janelle Tobias, who captured the prize for Most Improved Student. Tune in at 6:30 for the full newscast. And that was our news in 90 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, some persons may say that Tobagonians are currently in a state of trauma as it pertains to the situation surrounding the disappearance of 2-year-old Tobias Plaza. This morning we are chatting a bit about Angelo's disappearance, and we have the ability this morning to chat virtually with attorney Martin George. Good morning and welcome.
Yes, hi, good morning to you, and good morning Tobago, and good morning Trinidad, and the wider diaspora where your show is viewed.
Right. Now, this is a situation that is not quite frequent in Tobago as it pertains to the sudden disappearance of toddlers, or even the situation and the commentary surrounding this disappearance. It is quite new territory for many Tobagonians, and we hear persons talking about the deep hurt that they feel in connection to this case that they have heard, although they did not know the family or even the toddler. You know, talk to us a bit about this unprecedented situation.
Well, once you're talking about, the disappearance of a 2-year-old in such circumstances, then it would normally, cause emotions to run wild and to have people, having a wide range of feelings in relation to the issue, particularly if it appears that there are unanswered questions. And I think that is the main concern here, that somebody somewhere knows something and they're not saying, they're not speaking, they're keeping silent. And I think that is what is causing the greatest level of concern, because if you think about it, a 2-year-old doesn't just pick up and walk out of his house and home and out of his yard and disappear into the night on his own. All right. So therefore, you had to have the involvement of adults, right? You had to have the involvement of older persons, bigger persons than this toddler. So therefore, who are those persons and what do they know that is not being revealed to the police or to the authorities to be able to come to the bottom of this mystery? And, it reminds me of a scenario where several years ago, under a previous THA administration, I had drawn upon my, experience, knowledge, and years of service as the founding director and chairman of Crime Stoppers Trinidad and Tobago. And I had created a specific Crime Stoppers plan for Tobago. All right. In fact, I created an entire new unit for Tobago, and I had presented it to the then THA, saying, well, look, hey, this is something that ought to be implemented in Tobago. And the reason being, there are persons in Tobago, and we know this all the time, who may know what is going on. They may know what either the neighbor is doing, or, what a friend is doing, or, a person down the street, but they are afraid of speaking out. They are afraid of going to the police. They are afraid of being identified. So therefore, the Crime Stoppers program, or the Crime Stoppers template, right, which is exactly what I used and created this Tobago-specific program. It is one which allows persons to call in anonymously on the tip line, and even to collect their rewards. That is done anonymously also, because when you call in, you are just given a reference number. And for any follow-up on the tip that you called in, you just give that reference number. Even to collect your tip, we had an arrangement with the bank whereby you just go in, you ask for the operations manager, and you tell us which branch you want to go to, and we the money there, and you just go and you give them that same reference number. That's all you do. You don't have to walk with ID, driver's permit, nothing like that. And you would get your reward for doing, this act of civic duty, and service to your country by providing useful and valuable information. And I think something like that is what is needed here, because it is obvious that the police are not getting the answers at this point. The authorities are not getting the answers. So therefore you need, something like that, a public-private, partnership like that to maybe bridge the gap and get the answers that are needed in this case.
Right. And one of the questions that I'd like to ask is, where do we find a balance between information that's coming out on social media and plausible intelligence? Because we have persons coming out, having their blogs, having videos, talking about the incident, talking about text messages and evidence that they have personally as it pertains to the disappearance of the child. While we here, we call it speculations and allegations, where does the police draw the line that says, okay, this can also be used as credible intelligence?
Well, the thing is, I think you have to start with the generalized filter that, most of what you see on social media is not stuff that you ought to take, at face value. So you have to, usually take it with lots and lots of salt, so therefore you approach it from that perspective. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't, as the police authorities, glean maybe useful or valuable information or hints or leads that can be followed or investigated, but they ought to definitely use some filters. They ought to look at that person's blogging history, that person's past, because there are some persons who are just sensationalists, who, are looking for attention for themselves more than anything else, so they come out with these wild and crazy theories, just to, get likes and get, followers and, get persons to share their videos. And when you look at it, the substance of it is just utterly lacking. So, I think they really have to, as I say, apply that heavy filter, because the point is, the problem with social media, as I always say, is that the challenge with it is that it gives every idiot a voice and a platform, so the point is, there's no screening, there's no screening at the entry point to say, well, okay, look, it's only sensible or relevant or valid things that can be posted. No, the door is wide open, so the good, the bad, and the ugly gets posted on social media, and that's the challenge and problem we face in our daily lives. It happens every day, so I'm not sure that the police would use use this really as their first resort or first resource. But as I say, they ought not to ignore it entirely, but definitely apply a very, very heavy filter as to what they choose to, even follow as a lead or investigate, further.
With the disappearance of this child and persons losing confidence in as days go by in whether or not they would find him or even find him alive, what does that say for the parents that are now being questioned if nobody is found and no information is forthcoming from the parents?
Well, the thing is, I would think that, and of course, this is not to presuppose the scenario, but, there must be some question raised as to child neglect or, the abandonment of the duty as parents, if it is that you were the primary caregiver at the time and you were the one responsible for that child's well-being and safety and welfare. So I would imagine that those thoughts are uppermost in the minds of the authorities in any event, So even if they're not able to glean anything further, then certainly there has to be some level of neglect and negligence that has occurred. You can't tell me that a 2-year-old could be under your care and disappear from your home and you don't know anything and you don't know how, why, when, or where this occurred. No. You have to be held responsible one way or the other. So I would imagine that those are things that are certainly, occupying the minds of the authorities, in any event, even if, we don't even want to think of the worst case scenario.
Understood. And, you hear all sorts of emotional comments coming out of citizens from social media or just general commentary on the topic, talking about the idea of utilizing torture as an interrogation tool. But how far have we come as a society, particularly as it pertains to high-level investigations in Trinidad and Tobago, to the point where we can have some level of confidence that some type of information or breakthrough can happen in this case?
Well, the thing is, if you think of, some of the innovations that have been proposed in the past, it appears that we do have a serious problem with implementation in terms of our policing strategies, techniques, just look at the issue of body cams. There's still this back and forth raging debate as to, why the body cams are not in active use and widespread use in the service, tasers, why the tasers are, if you understand me. And you look around at all the police services around the world in any developed nation, and they are light years ahead. They are light years ahead of us. In Dubai, they are actually debuting flying police cars. So therefore the police, so it's not that they have to wait even on a helicopter. They are developing flying cars for their police force. So therefore, if you think you could get away and you driving through traffic, no, the police up in the air, they flying and they spotting you and they're able to get you. The point is you talk about your camera network, in any developed nation, you have such a rigorous utilization of an extensive integrated camera system and camera network that you are able to get information even when people don't want to volunteer it. You simply pull up the cameras, you pull up the footage, you're able to say, well, okay, yes, look, we saw this car passing there, and look, you've seen the individuals inside the car. Come on, we behave as if we are still in the dark ages here in Trinidad and Tobago. We are surrounded by every aspect and facet of technology, but yet still our TTPS is still drowning and wallowing in ignorance and backwardness on a daily basis. So therefore, it's not surprising that we are not able to solve these problems. And it's a systemic and administrative failure in the TTPS. It's not a failure of the rank and file officers, because they don't have the control to implement these systems, practices and procedures and policies. But the point is, when you look at it from the head go down, you recognize where the challenges are. Remember, I sat for 9 years as a commissioner on the Police Service Commission. I was vice chairman, right? I was also chairman of the appeals tribunal. So therefore, I know the inner workings of the police service and how these things function. And I have seen so many recommendations, studies, proposals, for improvement, use of the technology, use of, first world policing ideas. And there's always that stubborn resistance at the higher levels of the service to implement these, because for whatever reason, it seems they are more comfortable with the old policing methods, so like, it's like, the abject stupidity of, them saying, well, okay, look, all right, let's call a roadblock to, and that is a crime fighting measure. That's the kind of backward thinking that we are still operating under in the TTPS. And that's why we always have these challenges in circumstances such as this.
Right. And even in a situation where the general public is looking on and they're looking for a particular type of emotional response out of the mother of the child, and it seems to be lacking, is that a place where the investigation can go? Is it possible that that can be used as a basis for further questioning and further investigation legally, because the response of one of the parents is not appropriate or befitting for the particular situation in law? Is that something?
Well, the thing is, you see, I wouldn't even want to delve into the realm of social media speculation and what the public thinks and feels or views as to, what should or should not be the emotion of someone in such a circumstance. Because unless you are in the moment, you never know how you yourself may react. We may imagine how we think someone should react, but I would not want to use that as a scientific basis to then conclude, well, that means A, B, or C. So I would rather avoid any speculation along those lines.
Understood. Where do we go from here as a society as it pertains to the protection of children that are not even ours, particularly at the community level?
Well, the thing is, when you think back to the old African proverb, which says it takes a village to raise a child, and you hearken back to the old days of what Tobago used to be. Tobago used to be a society that would look out for each other, would look out for one another, would look out for, the elderly, would look out for the young, the vulnerable in the society. In the older days, you'd have scenarios where, if a child was misbehaving in the streets, any adult had the authority to basically correct them and say, hey, stop that, that's not appropriate, and you would straighten up immediately because, that's a grown person talking to you, that's an adult. You had that level of respect. And there was also that camaraderie among the parents and elders, where your parents, upon hearing that, this person corrected you, wouldn't, want to go down and cuss them up and fight them and say, well, what you talking to my child for, what you correcting my child for, but that's where we are at now as a society. So as a result, persons have basically withdrawn within their shell, withdrawn within their, homes, withdrawn within themselves and said, hey, listen, I ain't commenting on anybody, child. I ain't going and get involved, because next thing you know, they show up by my door with a tree canal and, ready to cuss and fight, So, we've become such an antagonistic and aggressive society that persons who may genuinely care for the well-being of the vulnerable amongst us are usually almost afraid to, venture forth to try to intervene in a scenario or to try to, offer assistance or help, because they may be rebuffed, they may be chased, they may be cursed, they may be, stigmatized as a result. So It's really unfortunate, but I think we need leaders who would be able to draw upon our rich heritage and our past and our history, not just, putting on, clothes and dancing and drumming for Heritage Festival, but the actual heritage of what Tobago, the ethos and culture and nature of Tobago and Tobagonians used to be, decades ago, and start trying to inculcate those values. The basic building block of society is the family unit. And we in Tobago are losing that quickly. We are becoming fractured, disjointed, we separated, each person going their own way, each person doing their own thing. You can't talk to this one, this one, ain't want to hear from you, and, they're ready to cuss you out, even though it's your own family members. So, as a result, people become, very cautious about even saying anything, getting involved, that kind of thing. And as a result, we are gradually splitting apart at the seams as a society.
Understood. And even as we wrap up our discussion this morning, is there any advice that you have, particularly, for the persons in the community who feel deeply affected by the situation and the trauma that it has caused throughout the Goodwood community?
Well, I would say for sure that they should consider, if anybody has any valid, useful information, you should consider calling the National Crime Stoppers hotline. But an even better long-term solution, I would urge this current administration of the THA, if they are interested, let's have some discussions on the rollout and implementation of this very specific Tobago-centered Crime Stoppers initiative, which I had put together. I have the full proposal. I had sent it in, and it's something that I think we can benefit from, because this would be based in Tobago. It would be our own program. So it's not the Trinidad program or a national program. There's a Tobago program where persons can call in safely and securely with the information. I am offering the template to Tobago as something that we can use and implement to get valuable information in circumstances such as this.
Understood. Well, again, we want to thank you so much for your time this morning and always coming in and sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us here on Tobago Updates. We look forward to further discussions with you on many other topics. So this morning, again, we say thank you and we hope that you have a wonderful day. Ladies and gentlemen,
always a pleasure.
We take a break right here and we'll be back after this. See you soon.
So wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers, we are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we're stronger.
And I have never, ever tried anything from the dirt oven.
Let's go to the backyard dirt oven on a Thursday. Talk about authentic. On entry, I felt at home. I felt like I was going to visit my loving grandmother on a weekend. The kind of weekend where she showers you with love, stories, and food. This place is a home away from home. And just like I would do at home, I pop the question, what you had to eat day? And boom, coconut drops, boom, bread, boom, garlic bread, boom, hops, boom, coconut tart, boom, jam tart, and boom, something they call nuts. And just like that, Mistress Baker was ready to pop them in the oven. And don't worry, she had some help. And while we was waiting, I said, let me hear from Mistress Baker herself.
Well, we've been operating for a couple of years now. We started, this was a COVID project. We operate strictly on Tuesdays. Tuesdays only. You don't keep stock. We only sell on Tuesdays.
Such a sweet lady. Hey, AMPLIA, it's ready. When last you see a nice golden brown bread, sir? Backyard bakery for the win. AMPLIA, a GT. I finally get me the oven bread with a little extra goodies on the side. You might be asking, where they're located? They are located on Bukuru, right on Nightingale Avenue, right before Racetrack Wheels if you're coming from town. Just look for the green hedge. You can't miss it. Pause. check out the menu they one time. Honestly, guys, this is an experience I will never forget. It's a home away from home, a place filled with love, life, and most importantly, good bread.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers, we are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we're stronger. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue our conversations this morning, and we are still talking about the disappearance of 2-year-old Angelo Tobias Plaza. And this morning, as we continue our discussion, we have the privilege of chatting virtually with former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith, who is no stranger to us here on Tobago Updates. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning to you and to your many viewers.
All right, it's a pleasure to have you this morning. I made a joke with my producer that we might as well make you a Tobago correspondent here at Tobago Updates on Crime Matters, because you're here.
Well, I'll be honored.
Well, Tobago is in a state of trauma. Many persons have said how this situation has truly impacted them and their families, although they would not have known intimately the victim of this disappearance, small Angelo Tobias Plaza. Do you think that this particular situation reveals a bigger issue as it pertains to the capability of the TTPS on the island and in Trinidad and Tobago on a whole, with not being able to find or have some breakthrough by now, 8 days later?
No, I definitely would not say that. I think the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, they're getting hit. They're getting hit from all angles, from all sorts of different things over the last few months. This situation is no different. Obviously, people are very concerned about this. They are traumatized, and rightly so, not just in Tobago, all throughout Trinidad. There's a concern. And obviously, this is a child you're speaking about. So because of that, automatically, all of the concern will now be turned, the ways of trying to have this solved will be turned to one thing and one thing alone, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. And maybe the only thing that I can probably have criticism of the police service is there's been an improper communication system. I listened to Mr. Kirk yesterday or so, and that is the one positive thing that we have seen so far. You have not heard from anything of any substance from the commissioner or the communication department. Mr. Kirk, he was very forthright. He was assertive. He was given the assurance that they're doing everything that is possible. It's showing the concern that the police service has, and that is what should have been done several days ago. In the absence of that, people are trying to target the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. I can assure you, I was there. The units in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service will be doing every single thing that is possible to try to prevent this, to try to rectify this. I mean, even from my situation as a commissioner, it is starting to be seen that this is a recovery rather than rescue. But there are thousands upon thousands of persons missing in the United States, and I honestly do not know. I don't know if the police could state that. Why is this now seem as solely as a recovery rather than a rescue? Because they're speaking about cadaver dogs and so forth. And when you bring these type of things into the conversation, you automatically pigeonhole it into one thing alone, that the child could have unfortunately been killed. And I would not even have gone down there as well at this time, because there are other avenues, unless, of course, the police know something that we don't know and they haven't brought it to our attention. But whatever it is, I think I know the police service. I know that they would be doing every single thing possible. This is not a situation that should be seen that the police service they are trivializing the situation. In the absence of them giving information as to what it is they're doing, it has opened the window of opportunity, unfortunately, so for persons to believe that the police are not doing everything they can possibly do, and I think they are.
Understood. And just as I would have asked Attorney Martin George this morning, how do we find the balance between, credible intelligence that comes out on social media and it just being pure speculation and sensationalism, simply because in recent time we would have seen that there were allegations coming out on social media from particular bloggers who, would have shown or made allegations that the young man, Shannon, would have called on a number of persons to take him to Georgia or to the dump, or all these speculations and allegations. How do we find a balance between what's being said about the activities surrounding the disappearance of the child and what the police actually is investigating?
Well, it definitely has to go with the massive input and manipulation, for want of a better word, of our social media in this country. Our social media is one that once somebody puts something, it automatically becomes fact in this country. And we could even go right back to firearms. Remember, a prime minister and a minister lied to the country when they accused myself and the police service in being involved in corruption with firearms. They were liars. They lied to the country. But because they said that, many people still believe it was true. And after 5 years, as I said, not one person has been arrested or charged with any of the lies in that audit report that they had, that fake audit report. So if politicians could just openly make statements and then it goes on social media and people believe it, in a situation like this, in the absence of facts coming forward, anybody would say, listen, I know the child's uncle, and I knew what happened here, and they make these statements, these wild accusations, because social media in this country is the ideal avenue for persons who have no qualification, experience, or training in anything, but they use that to give the impression that I am bright, I am smart, I know something that you don't know. And when they put this out, they do that to try to make themselves relevant, not understanding that when you do this, you can be damaged, you can be affecting an investigation, you can be putting in undue fear and panic into the family, into being worried that this is what has really taken place. You can cause the police to have to divert their resources in the wrong manner. There's nothing positive that comes about from fake news on social media, because when it is you put this fake news, it affects everything. There's nothing that could be done. If, however, let's go to the other side of the spectrum, where there's no such thing as a perfect crime. But if somebody actually believes that they have some degree of legitimate information that can be turned into intelligence, that can be then turned into evidence, then they should bring it forward. But there's no avenue anymore for citizens like that to bring forward information to the police. Telling the police, just call the police, it's not going to work. But that's why when I formed that 482 Gary, it was to bring forward information that, because many citizens had information, even like this matter, for example, had I been commissioner, I would have been pumping. Anybody knows anything, if you believe anybody else is involved, talk to me. And I will be getting information that we will then verify whether it is credible or not. Same thing with online reporting. When we put online reporting, that was to give citizens the opportunity. You're hearing something and you don't want to say, well, look, because I'm not sure about it, bring it forward to the police. Let the police verify but when it says you put it out in public domain, you do nothing but cause further fear, further panic, jeopardizing the investigation, compromising the investigation as well. But again, sometimes people do this because they may very well have some degree that I really heard about something, but you don't know who to send it to. So what you do is you put it on social media, and it just totally affects the investigation. And again, as I said, it does nothing to help the investigation. It can actually have people turn against the police because of wrong information that is being spread. And with that, I think it is unfair, not just to the police, but also to the family of the victim.
Yeah, understood. And even as it pertains to this investigation continuing and persons still wanting to hear or know what's going on, persons are waking up every day and asking, have they found the child as yet? What are you encouraging persons to do to be careful? Yes, there are those hotlines that they should call, but we see the TTPS is now calling on persons, as you indicated, to be very careful about the narratives that they are spreading via social media. What some of your advice during this time for the public, even though emotions are high?
I will ask the public again. Firstly, let's try to be mature about this. At times, emotions will run high. People will press the wrong trigger. Be very careful what you put on social media. Many people are making a lot of accusations and perceptions that, again, it is not helping the investigation. So please, let's try to refrain from hear so-and-so and somebody tell me so-and-so, or asking for a friend. The usual lines that are used by persons on social media because of their total ignorance in trying to get fact, but they feel that they want to say something to make themselves important. That is what social media is. People doing something to make themselves feel important without getting the facts. So let us not go down that road, especially in a period like this, in an investigation of this matter. Bringing up all of these perceptions of I hear so-and-so and somebody told me so-and-so, that is not helping the police. It is definitely not helping trying to bring closure to this matter. It is not helping the family and the friends of any victim. So that is one. Two, it is hoped that the police will continue to find some avenue to ask the public if at any time they have any information that they believe can assist the police in this investigation. This is the avenue to do. This commissioner of police certainly doesn't want anyone to have access to his phone, so he's not going to do what I did when I will have thousands of persons contact me on a daily basis, and on many occasions it was false information, misleading information, hearsay, rum shop talk, but there will be information that actually saved many lives and stopped crimes from taking place and actually solve crime from taking place, because they said, look, if there's anybody I trust, it will be the commissioner of police. And unfortunately, this commissioner is not like that. He's actually blocked media personnel and other persons because he doesn't want to speak to them because he reached. So it is hoped that the police could find some avenue. If Mr. Kirk in Tobago can actually give his number, I could just humbly recommend to him, if you all have any information, contact me. I am the person running the Tobago Police Service here in Tobago. So give me information to assist me to try to bring closure to this matter. Something like that is what is required. But until then, I will again plead with the public, let us not try to demonize or target the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service in this matter. It is something, the matters like this, it is very unfortunate, it is very tragic, but it happens worldwide, and it's not because of the failure of the police. What should happen, however, to minimize these situations from happening would be for the police to reignite things that minimize this. I formed a gender-based violence unit because when I joined the army for 17 years, when I became a security advisor, a security minister, a commissioner, my life has always been dedicated to deal with bullies, to defeat and target persons who are trying to target other persons, whether it be women, elderly, children, and so forth. That is why I formed the gender-based violence unit. That gender-based violence unit totally transformed the problem that we were having for years, where a woman could be raped or beaten, and she goes to a police station, and that police officer, he is also accustomed beating his wife. The police might know about it, and then when you go to the station, the police officer then tells the woman, well, why it is you reach home 2 o'clock in the morning? In other words, you look for that. I put an end to that. Gender-based violence unit was one where you get beaten, you get raped, your child has been hit, an elderly being abused, you call that number, and train qualified professional police officers trained in understanding confidentiality and sensitivity will come to your home. Those are the things that are required, because I'm not saying that had this happened, this I don't want in any way to blame the police, but if there's a gender-based violence unit, when you have situations of domestic violence, children being beaten, children being abused, neighbors, family, friends know about it, but they do not know where to turn, because you're not going to a police station because sometimes the police officer there is a friend of the person who's doing it. That is why we formed the gender-based violence unit. When last everyone heard about the gender-based violence unit, that totally pegged back every single wife beater in this country, because we started targeting them, filing them, monitoring them, seizing their firearms, making sure that they would be arrested, making sure that the women will be protected, protecting children, protecting elderly. As soon as I left, Gary found the gender-based violence, shut it down, let's water it down. And the police officers who were trained in that gender-based violence unit, they transfer them to other locations and now persons in that unit. That's why the unit is virtually non-existent. So it is hoped that the police could learn from mistakes that were being made. You need a proper gender-based violence unit so that it will allow friends, neighbors, relatives to be able to contact that police unit to be able to do that preemptive strike to prevent a situation of domestic violence, elderly abuse, or child abuse.
Right. And even as it pertains to the technology that has now been developed within the TTPS, if there is any, do you think that there's an increase in the capability to solve crimes or even situations like the one we're looking at currently with Angelo Tobias Plaza?
Oh, definitely. Listen, the technology that is out there to deal with crime prevention and crime detection, it is mind-boggling. And that is why, unfortunately, this commissioner, I think he still probably uses Betamax and 8-track. You might know what that is. Well, that's something that people use in the 80s. And himself and Johnny Abraham and Roger, they're still old school. The technology, in fact, he actually was bad talking me about the technology that I was acquired. And that technology put an end to kidnapping. There were 12 consecutive kidnappings that took place, and we were able, never before. Every time we hear the police say, "Oh, we solved the kidnapping," you didn't solve the kidnapping. The kidnappers will pay the ransom, and then the victim was freed. You didn't solve the crime. You assisted the criminals to make money. We were able to pinpoint the kidnappers, kick down the door, lock their neck, drop them on the ground, handcuff them, and rescue the victim from the Natalie Polney go up. 12 consecutive kidnappings. That is what put an end to kidnapping. Technology. The technology is what put an end to home invasion, because we were able to have a proper GPS tracking system of police vehicles. You call 999. We can't stop you from jumping the wall, but by the time you jump back over, we were there waiting on you. That put an end to home invasion. It put an end to extortion. The body cameras put an end to police officers' abuse of authority. All of these things, that type of technology is there. I provided technology that was able to go into the dark web to pinpoint, because sometimes you have situations with children being held and then probably involved in child trafficking, human trafficking, child prostitution. We were able to get technology to go into the dark web to find out the individuals involved in these things, to save and protect these children. They removed that technology, the same technology that Guevara is bad talking me for having acquired. That is the type of technology required. And if we do that, there's not a need to do the madness that you're hearing now by this Minister of Homeland Security and the Commissioner and the Welfare Association President, who are foolishly stating we need more police officers. No, we don't. We do not need to increase quantity. We need to enhance quality. It is going to cost the taxpayers over $500 to $700 million extra per annum to hire 2,300 new police officers every year. That 500 million, let me tell you, if there is the government, really. But again, there's nobody in the government with any degree of senior law enforcement experience. Roger Alexander and Guevara were junior middle management, so they don't understand the technology that is out there. You take that $500 million per annum, and you could provide all of the technology, the assets, the tools, the units, the capability, the training for the police service, the customs, the immigration, the fire service, the army, the coast guard, the air guard, the prison service, all that they require. And it's going to lift their standard, because now we are providing all the training they need, all the equipment they need, all the assets they need. We have a police service where police officers are not being trained in going on a range. We have police officers where the majority of them have bulletproof vests that are expired. We have vehicles that are not working. They don't have body cameras. They don't have GPS on the vehicles. They're not being trained in customer service. We have police officers driving motorbikes with the same vest for the last 8 years since I left as commissioner. That is the type of madness going on. But now you want to increase 500 to 700 million in salaries instead of providing the equipment and technology that's required for the police service now. That is what I will strongly recommend. If that is done, it is going to lift the standard of the police service and law enforcement.
Understood. Well, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back with much more on this conversation after this. See you soon.
And the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are.
Looking for office attire or worship apparel, then come to Tia's Classic Closet. Shopping for casual clothing or just want to dress down. Big discount, so it's you on clothing and comfortable shoes. Get some wonderful accessories to match your attire. Come to Tia's Classic Closet at 39 Montgomery Road. Open opening hours. Daily from 9:30 to 5:30. For more information, call 710-168-99999.
Early prostate cancer has absolutely no signs or symptoms, and that's why we strongly push the men once a year, get out there and get screened with a digital rectal examination and a PSA, prostate-specific antigen, a blood test. Any PSA above 4 is abnormal. All men, once they hit 40 years of age, go and have that PSA test done.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Sofa Factory is here in Tobago. Conveniently located Montessori Drive, Glen Road, Scarborough. Up to 20% off on select sofas for customization. Deals on some sofas from as low as $4,000 until stocks last. 10% off on all wardrobes. Half off on shower heads with the purchase of a vanity set. Come in and experience the new way to shop for furniture and see the quality in person.
Make your goals a reality this season with Mount Pleasant Credit Union. Tobago's choice, we got you smiling. Come and feel that mid-year feeling, oh yeah. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans, your goals grow. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice. You know, every loan wants to prove more reasons to celebrate. Chance to win big, doesn't that feel great? Up to $3,500 in exciting gift certificates. Share investment starts as low as $2,500. Mid-year island dreams, we make it easy. $20,000 to $100,000. Come and see, we warm hearts, bright plans, let your goals grow. Whoa. Mount Pleasant Credit Union, Tobago's choice, you know.
Yeah. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, right here on Tobago Updates. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been chatting with former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith, and we've been chatting about the disappearance of 2-year-old Angelo Tobias Plaza, its impact on our society, and the role of the TTPS currently in this investigation. Good morning and welcome back.
Yes, good morning again.
Right, and just as I would have asked previously, where do we go as a society from here, particularly as a community, when it comes to looking out for youths, toddlers, children, each other, particularly in situations like this where the entire Trinidad and Tobago is currently in mourning about this situation?
Yeah, well, again, they in warning. I am still in hope, unless, of course, the police say that they have information to confirm that there has been a murder. As I said, there have been similar situations like this, and this is not to give false hope to the family and friends, but there's been nothing that I've heard from the police that could verify that they know for a fact that a child has been killed. So I am a little confused. Because, as I said, there are other options that could have taken place, whether it is an abduction, whether it is things have happened. I mean, as a commissioner, I saw many of these similar situations, but I've been hearing immediately this thing has been pigeonholed into automatically it's been a murder. We're getting cadaver dogs to look for the body. I mean, and all of these traumatic statements being made has automatically, as I said, turned this into no longer just being a rescue, but to being a recovery. I am also very concerned about what I have seen recently in this search and rescue team, which is a civilian organization now taking the front of such operations in front of the police. And whether if the police say it is not true or not, that is the perception. It is seen that these hunters search and rescue team have become the front line for such matters, and it should not be. They're supposed to be a support unit to facilitate and support the police service. And I see it the other way around. It's like the police are waiting for them to give directions and the police will follow. Or the police must lead these investigations. It must not, this Hunter Search and Rescue team has now become the be-all and end-all. And all hats out to them. And don't get me wrong. I welcome what they have done. It is commendable. But it should, if it reaches a point that they are doing such a good job to try to go over the perception that they are even more qualified to find persons than the police service, something is definitely wrong there. No police service in the world should ever be playing second fiddle to a voluntary group of skilled persons such as the Hunters Search and Rescue team. And the police have continued to take a back seat pertaining to this, and that should not be. If it is that you even need to have some of these individuals precepted or to become
seem to have had a bit of a connectivity issue there. We have been chatting with former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith on the topic of the disappearance of 2-year-old Angelo Tobias Plaza. And even as we are now on day 8 of the search, he has reiterated his hope that we should not necessarily just jump to the conclusion that the child is no longer alive. Welcome back.
Yeah.
We have been having a bit of a technical issue there as it pertains to our connection.
I lost you there. I lost you. Sorry.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear
Yes,
me?
I'm hearing you now, yes.
All right. Yes. So even as it pertains to...
Yeah, I'm hearing you now. Yes.
Right. You were saying the importance of the TTPS taking the lead on matters of this nature and not allowing the search and rescue hunter team to take the forefront.
To take the lead, or perceived as that. Also, as I said, there's no such thing as the perfect crime. The first 24 hours in any crime, whether it be a homicide, child abduction, murder, rape, kidnapping, the first 24 hours are very critical. And as I said, there's no such thing as the perfect crime. Somebody knows something. But if it is that citizens are not able to pass forward the information to the right persons, they will turn to social media, they will send false information, incorrect information, not give it to the relevant sources. And that's why the police will continue to state, give us the information. But the average citizen is reluctant to go to a police station. They don't know if, suppose they know who may have done this, and they're worried that this police officer in that station is affiliated with that individual. There must be an avenue, which is why I put that police online reporting. The online reporting would have filtered straight into a very controlled unit that would be able to sift the information and send it out to the relevant units, whether it's cybercrime, whether it is the a tactical team, whether it's fraud, whether it's homicide, whoever, no longer there.
Understood. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it seemed like we have really lost Mr. Griffith there as it pertains to our connection this morning.
Those are things that are required because...
Can you hear me? Unfortunately, we have lost our guest, but...
Yeah, I keep... it's freezing.
Okay.
No, I'm hearing you.
All right.
Well, we are freezing.
I can hear you now as well. However, the visuals have stopped, yes. But I can see you again. All right. So even as we wrap up our discussions this morning, is there any guidance that you want to, or just, words of advice or wisdom that you want to give to the TTPS here in Tobago as they continue with this investigation?
Well, I don't know if you're still hearing me, but yes, I am asking the public to continue to support. Yeah, I'm asking, as we close, I ask the public continue to support the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Do not point fingers and blame them for it. I will ask all persons, whether it be media, individuals, persons who have talk shows, persons on social media, act as a support unit for the police service in this matter. Let us not use the police service as the target for what has transpired. Fingers at this time is not what is required. What we need is as much as possible for us to work together as a community, as a country of law-abiding citizens. So we're able to work together to bring closure to this matter one way or the other. So hopefully soon the police service can try to rebuild systems to allow citizens to come and bring information in real time to the police to prevent such matters, or if such matters take place, to to allow them the opportunity to get intelligence that can assist them in solving this crime.
Understood. Well, again, we want to thank you so much for being with us this morning and always making yourself available to offer your perspectives and give, those views on matters, particularly in this case as former Commissioner of Police. Again, we want to say have a great day. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you so much for being a part of this morning's discussions. We want to thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Again, I am Chanel Felix, and have a great day.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong.